It's over. After so many years, Xbox 360 is, well, not gone, but the store is. And with that, I want to talk about the exclusives. Now, originally this was supposed to come out Friday, but there's a long story with that one, which I won't get into. But we're going to immediately get started, and we're going to talk about the fact that a few games are missing because it's not a complete exclusive tier list. There's just a few of them. I'm not gonna get into them. The big one is Gears of War because technically Gears of War One, uh, both versions, the Windows version and the Xbox 360 version, are different. So technically, it is an exclusive. Just saying. But ignoring that, we're gonna get into it. There's a lot of Kinect games I have not played here, which is why we're gonna actually start with renaming the tiers. We're gonna talk about as being my favorites. I don't think they're amazing, like in every regard, but they're definitely worth a pickup. I think should have in your arsenal is definitely a good one. I think strong, and this is why we need more tiers because we're gonna run out of space here. So we need one below here. We're actually probably just gonna add two, and we're gonna change this one to green, I think. But then we're gonna do bad, and then refund, please. And trust me, there's actually quite a few of refund, please. And then there's gonna be not played. Not played. We're gonna change the color to blue because this blue or is that purple? I don't know. Do a bright green for money, and then bad could be that bright green. I think that's a good tier list. It kind of gets across everything. Not played. There's a lot of them. I didn't realize until I looked at the list right before, but there's actually quite a few that I didn't get to play. But let's get into some stuff that I have played. Let's skip around. Let's talk about a series that is near and dear to my heart. Gears of War. So if you don't know, Gears of War is one of Microsoft's main selling points now. And I honestly, while they're my favorites for sure, I do think they aren't actually like in my favorites department. They're not going to be in my top 50 games, which is where I would put my favorites. And Gears of War 2 is better than Gears of War 3 in my opinion. Story is better. The multiplayer is better in 3 by a long shot, but a 3 does have really one of the best DLCs of all time in my opinion. And yeah, Judgment I think is just mid. It doesn't do anything spectacular that I like wake up for. It's not something that I go, oh, I have to have this. Uh, but Judgment's still a decent time. I think the campaign's good. I think the multiplayer was ass. Uh, Maybe it's because at that time it was when people started getting really like good at finding broken shit in games. But Judgment was an ass time to play multiplayer. Uh, yeah, let's talk about. We could start like dumping some stuff into never played, huh? That's always an idea. Let's talk about Crackdown because I think Crackdown's pretty important. Crackdown, I think the first game is actually strong. I think it's not as good as a lot of games on this list by a long shot because it's actually pretty janky. And overall, it's just a collectathon in a different skin. Yeah, you don't need to collect everything to beat the game. In fact, it's pretty easy to not collect everything and just do it. But I do like the cars that you can have access to, especially for early in this generation. Uh, the cars, the amount of gameplay there is, while being sometimes simplistic, is still pretty nice. The type of progression with your character is actually really cool. There's a lot of stuff in Crackdown. It feels a lot more like a hack and slash RPG at times than an open world like collectathon. But Crackdown 2 is just bad. I've tried to think of this as like easy as possible, but Crackdown 2 is if you took all the padding from a game, put it into a single like entry, and then made zombies. It's not fun at all. I think Crackdown 2 is bad. I think we could talk about I'll talk about those later. I'm kind of skipping around because I want to talk about a lot of fun stuff first, but let me talk about a game series that I've never even seen. I don't think I've seen Lips. Like, I don't know what these are. I think I might have seen this, No idea. And then let's talk about Refund. I think that will get our tier list in order. Where is it? This game just doesn't work. I don't know if anybody was around during. Well, a lot of people were around, but there was a lot of like Kinect games that came out that either A were like okay or decent, to didn't work, and it was really really depressing. There's actually a game on here that, uh, in the Kinect that I think is really fun. Uh, where is it? Oh, that's gonna be really hard to find because I don't remember if it starts with an N or if it starts with a B. Because where am I at? That's Kinect Adventures. We'll talk about this because I think this is actually a should have. I think it's on the lower end. It's almost in the top of strong, but I think Kinect Adventures is actually a really fun thing to have with your Kinect. It's really cool for kids, which I think is important for a console to succeed, and at the same time, as an adult, because when when Kinect Adventures came out, I was a teenager, older teenager, and I still found it pretty cool. That could be because I'm a lame person, yes, but I still think Kinect Adventures is a should have for sure. It was actually, in my opinion, really really strong for the Kinect. It just happened to be that the Kinect only had four good things in existence. It wasn't great. Oh, here it is. NBA Baller Beats. I'm gonna be brutally honest. This game is something that people should actually play. It's a little annoying if you're in an apartment, so I get why it didn't sell that incredibly well. It came with a basketball, or like a ball-like thing. It wasn't a basketball legit, but it. I think it's really cool. I think Baller Beats is one of my favorite designs, like Kinect games. Like Kinect Adventures, I think is a whole package that I think is solid. Uh, but I think overall that Baller Beats was really really fun. Kinect Adventures, as I think about it, I'm actually just gonna put it in the top of straw. I just realized what I'm saying when I put it up there. I was just like, yeah, they're not at the same level, but hey, I still think it's worth it. Is there any like other Kinect games I want to mention? I mean, there's always the Dance Central games, which we'll get into, but I haven't played most of them. I played one, I think, or two. We have Dead or Alive. We could do. I love Dead or Alive 4. I think it's when it like hit peak for me, like because Dead or Alive is one of those games where it fades in and out of like public consciousness, I guess, even when it was coming out. Uh, I'm just gonna put it at the top strong. I think Dead or Alive 4. I know 2 is on here, like the fancy 2. I just don't remember the box art. There's a lot of box arts that I don't remember. Star Wars Kinect. It's mid actually because there's a dance thing. It's not bad. This one's just bad right here. Uh, it's playable, but not much more. Beautiful Katamari. We'll talk about how this is actually a pretty strong game, mostly because Beautiful Katamari is actually like a Katamari game. If you don't know, this is one of those roll-up games. If you've seen Katamari Damacy, for some reason I'm having a hard time remembering how to say it. But ignoring that, I think this game is really stand out, and it's almost in should have. Actually, you know what? I think there's like a remaster of this now. We'll put in should have. I think Katamari is one of the better games. Uh, we'll talk about that later. Let's talk about one of my favorites because there's only like 2 or 3 that are gonna be here, but Tenu Z is one of my favorites of all time. If you don't know, Tenchu is the original stealth genre game. That's what Tenchu is. And Tenchu Z was kind of the last true outing for the Tenchu series, which is really, really sad because I think this game is spectacular. I think this is one of the best games I played in the Xbox 360 era. It's one of the best games in general for me. And whenever I make a top 100 video game list, which happens usually like every 18 months, Tenchu Z is always hitting the top 50. It's always consistently up there because I love the stealth mechanics. There's not a lot of jank in it. It feels like every time you fail, it's because of you. There's not a lot of like, oh, by the way, this wall is actually seeable. and it feels very honest to it. And this might be a lot of like favoritism towards like Tenchu as a whole, but I still think this is at least a should have, if not uh, a favorite for a lot of people. It should be at least. Blue Dragon have actually not played. A lot of people get mad at me for this. I have not played. Sorry. I'll get around to it. I swear. Um, should we get rid of some of the racing games because there's a lot of racing games. Let's talk about Lost Odyssey since we talked about Blue Dragon. I think this is a should have. It's definitely on the bottom in my opinion. Lost Odyssey is a very good story. The combat itself is pretty standard for, turn based. But at the same time, I do think the story is spectacular. Uh, and I do think for the time, it looks pretty good. I recommend you should at least have this for Xbox 360 because it's one of the like two turn based. There's a few more we'll get to, but yeah. Should I talk about? I'm trying to skip around. I didn't get a chance to play the Steel Battalion. I have the original Steel Battalion set up, but have not played the Kinect one. This one sucks, right? I don't. I'm thinking of a different game. I don't know. I really thought I knew what it was. Twisted Mania I've not played. Um, some of these I don't recognize, which is a little weird. But let's talk about the arcade stuff. I think there's Konami, there's a Capcom. These were actually exclusive. I think one of these was locked to Xbox Live Arcade, which was a little whack. But I remember these being expensive. It could just be me being odd, but let's talk about these because I think these are pretty cool. The Bejeweled Feeding Frenzy one, I think is actually pretty strong. Feeding Frenzy itself is really, really fun, and Bejeweled, while a simple game, I do think is actually worth it. I don't like the other two games that well, but I know some people do, and this was relatively cheap for the time. I remember these being cheap. And then the Peggle one. I think Peggle is actually, like, really, really good for a game. It's amazing to think that people don't remember how big Peggle was. Because Peggle 2 came out on Xbox One, and a lot of people went, whoa, the Xbox One has an actual game now. It was that stupid. We were stupid. But it also comes with Heavy Weapon, which is actually a pretty standout shoot 'em up. So I do think this is a should have bottom, almost the top. I love how I'm saying Dead or Alive 4 is technically worse for it, but whatever. We have the Konami Classics, which it was usually just one game, and then like I think it was like just mid. I do think this is the better one. I do like how they were presented though, but I am gonna put Judgment higher. It was usually just one like really good game, and then one like mid game, and then one that people just don't remember at all. That was usually the Konami Classics. Capcom was usually much more like varied, and more importantly, they had a lot more games to. Not they didn't have a lot more games, but they put a lot more games into it. I will say though, Capcom. The farther away you get from the older Capcom games, the more you realize that Capcom isn't that great, but I do think it's strong, mostly on the amount of games that are there. It's a decent romp. Yeah, I will say it's better than that one. And NBA Ball. I like Baller Beats. It's funny and worth your time, but I don't think it's that good. Man, we've made a lot of progress, and it still feels like I haven't done anything. Let's get rid of a lot of these Kinect games here. I need to play this Fable Journey. Someone put a reminder that I do. Is that really exclusive? I don't think it is. So I have played one of these, which I actually just put up. I put Dance Central 2, but I did not play any of the Dance Central games. How many of them are there? There's 1,000. Oh my god. I don't know what this is either. Don't know what that is. Real quick, just trying to grab the Kinect lines I don't know. Oh, Kinect Sports was actually okay. Oh, this season too. I didn't play Kinect Season 2. I did play Kinect Sports, which I thought was actually pretty decent. It was inherently lifeless, but hey, it was still decent. This was not played. Take a nice little break to find all the Kinect stuff I haven't played. The Seen It stuff. No. I do know what these are. I didn't want it. I actually had this in my, so I went to GameStop, and this is, like, a few years after the Kinect was, long and dusted, and they were selling these, like, Kinect games for very, very cheap. And I had this in my hands for a buy one, get two free on, like, really cheap games. And, uh, and then I went with something else, which I don't even remember what I went with. I probably never even played it, honestly. I do that a lot. But, yeah, I did have Fighters Uncaged in my hands at one point. Didn't play it, though. Let's talk about Naruto, because I think these are two important games in the history. If you're a Naruto fan, I definitely think they are, strong. But they have similar problems to each other. It's an Ubisoft game, so there's that. And not saying that Ubisoft games are in generally bad, but it's much more along the lines of an Ubisoft game when you get one. But yeah, I do think Rise of Ninja is slightly worse than Broken Bonds. Actually, enough to have Crackdown in between them. Am I really? I'm actually gonna lower this. I just realized Kinect Adventures above Crackdown. Yeah, that's a wild statement. I had it up here. I'm insane. But I do think Broken Bonds is actually a lot better. Rise of Ninja and Broken Bonds have this really cool feature where you use the two sticks on that Xbox 360 controller to make hand signs, which, if you know about Naruto, is actually really, really cool. I do wish something like that came back. What else we got? We're getting into the territory of stuff that I played for a little bit and we have Cameo. And I'm gonna be brutally honest, it's a must-have. I do think Cameo is actually a pretty good game that got faded into, hey, it was a launch title, hey, it's a Zelda clone, hey, it's this, hey, it's that. I think people should just play instead of putting labels on it. Cameo, I think, has a lot of potential of an idea. It just kind of, being a launch title, it was never gonna be amazing, because literally as soon as a launch title happens, people look back and go, oh yeah, that was cool. Anyway, this new game came out that uses the console way better, and Cameo kind of got a lot of that. But I do think Cameo is worth it. Perfect Dark Zero, since we're on this topic, Perfect Dark Zero I do think is actually pretty strong. I will say it's probably better than all of these, but I don't think it's inherently, there's definitely a separation here. Perfect Dark Zero, I think, is a fine game. It's also, Perfect Dark itself is not that great of an original game, so a lot of people got a little overhyped for it for no reason. I never played that. I think we got rid of... Nope, there's still more. There's always more, man. I realize I haven't played a lot of games, actually, for the 360. Do I want to talk about two? Yeah, we'll talk about 2 Human. 2 Human, I actually think this game is quite strong. It's definitely middle of the road for a lot of the 360 games, and it has, it's very grindy for no reason, a lot of padding. But I do think if you can get a co-op partner, if the servers are even up, it probably is. Probably host or something. Probably peer-to-peer or something stupid. I do think this was actually a decent game. It's a little too grindy and a little too repetitive to be, amazing. But there was a lot of customization, and I do think this had potential to go farther. There's a pretty storied history on 2 Human, which I might actually cover separately someday because it's very interesting. But yeah, it's definitely something to be noteworthy. 99 Nights. This is a game that not a lot of people play. I think this is a should have. I'm actually gonna put it below Cameo. Similar to Dynasty Warriors, but I think 99 Nights is really, really good. I love the aesthetic. I also got this game for like $2 back in the day. I don't know why I scrolled that far down. Which, speaking of 99 Nights, never played the second one. I need to get around to it. I might do that on this channel. I might go through. I plan on eventually going through a lot of the Dynasty Warriors, and I might just put this in. I might just do all the Warriors like games because I'm a literal child that would sit there with my brain off for a ridiculous amount of time. All right. A lot of these Tetris Evolution. I mean, it's a Tetris game. It's always just gonna be strong. Though this one was actually pretty smooth, I remember. Though, now that I think of it, the D-pad was pretty shit. That's a controller issue, not a game issue. Joyride. Get rid of that. Gunslinger. Didn't play a lot of Kinect. I mean, I got it, but Ridge Racer 6. Let's talk about that because it's I just saw it. I actually think Ridge Racer 6 is a pretty good game. I'm gonna put it at the higher end here. We're gonna separate these more, even though they're pretty much the same. But Ridge Racer 6 I think is good. I do not think it's as good as like 4 or 5. Actually, probably just more 5. I think the racing mechanics are still like strong because Ridge Racer is actually really, really good at that. But I don't like the progression of Ridge Racer 6 that much. Just personally. Let's get some more mid games, huh? Project Gotham Racing. This was a launch title or close to it. Yeah, we'll put top mid. Fable 3 is definitely mid, which we'll put Fable 2. I think Fable 2 is a should have, but bottom of it. Like, I do think Fable 2 is a really good game, and Fable 3 is just grindy and, like, in reality, Fable 3 is really close to being strong. Like, it is the closest by a long shot. These are ordered as close as I can get. But the thing is, there's a lot of problems with Fable 3 that make it not fun. Fable 2, I felt like it was actually a fun romp. Forza Horizon, I think, is one of the best Forza games, hands down. I think you should have this. I just don't... I'm going to put it above 99 Nights and Cameo. Really good racing game. I didn't play a lot of Forza. I still haven't. Like, I didn't play... I have played these, but not enough. So I'm just not going to be unfair and put them actually in there. Fusion Frenzy 2. This was kind of desperate, but it was okay. Yeah, it's about there. It's mid. PGR 4. Do I want to put this up right now? No. Let's talk about Ninja Gaiden 2. I love this game, but this is still one of those games, even as I got older, I think it is brutal. Now, this is coming from somebody that has, like, being Ninja Gaiden Black, Sigma 3, like, even the fancy version of 2. Is it Sigma 2? Or, I thought it was named something different, but my head is saying Sigma 2. Maybe I'm getting those whatever. But Ninja Gaiden 2 is a game that I think was probably my first full rage experience. Like, people talk about, like, raging a video game, and they think it's like, oh, you threw your controller down, and you straight up, you then just, like, didn't play for the rest of the day, and you came back the next day. When you get a full rage experience, it's not you throwing your controller down. It's you doing something of that nature, quitting the game, and then completely not playing any other video games for like a week, and complaining to people that don't know anything about video games about it. And it's like you have lost your, like, your obvious control, and you are just complaining about a video game to random people. It's truly, truly, like, that's fully rageable. But I still think it's a good game. Yeah. I was a teenager when I raged like that, too. I feel like A lot of people I was talking to were like, what the fuck are you talking about? Ninja Blade, I think is good. I don't think it's good as Ninja Gaiden, but I still think it's a should have. Probably here. Yeah. I put it a lot higher than I thought I would. But Ninja Blade's pretty fun. Quick time events kind of ruin a lot of stuff, but Bomberman Zero is refund me, please. It was really bad. Somebody played through the whole game. It's really, really bad. Do I wanna? Okay, let's talk about Dead or Alive Extreme 2. I think it's just strong. I do think it's worse than 4. But 4 was funny. I think here. Yeah, that's good. Full Auto, I think, is actually a decent racing game. I don't think it's anything more than that. Probably here. Yeah. Man, there's still so much. A lot of this I haven't played. Like, funnily enough, Operation Darkness, I had downloaded like several times, or not down. Yeah, downloaded, and I just never played it. Uh, okay, I'm gonna have to zoom in here because some of these I can't read, and I don't recognize box art. Okay, I have not played this. I don't recognize box art. Oh, this is a funny game. Rumble Road. This is actually. There's a lot of stuff here that. Oh, this is funny. I don't know where to put that. Man, we're in the. Okay, I have not played this. Is that it? I'm not gonna rank Cold Sept. I have not played it enough. I have played. I don't recognize that. I'm sorry. I'm just going through real quick. This is funny. I have played that. This is really good, in my opinion. A lot of people don't like it. I'm not gonna rank it. Have not done enough. I don't recognize this. No idea why it sat there for that long. And then this, and I don't know if I could rank this. Yeah, I have not played enough. Okay. Whoa. There we go. Filling back up. Sorry about that. We have a huge selection of games I have not played. I think I have not played enough. Amp 3, one of the launch titles for the 360. Decent snowboarding game. I don't think it's that impressive, but it's definitely better than Full Auto. I keep scrolling way too far down. Raiden Fighters, I think is a really good shoot 'em up. It's been a long time, so maybe I'm getting boring with it. But I think it's here. Also, that was back when I sucked at shoot 'em up, so we'll put this mid. Yeah. Kengo, I think is I honestly think is a should have. Saints Row, ooh, this is one I can actually talk about a lot because I played it a lot. I think Saints Row is always going to be the top of strong to me. It's a GTA clone, yes, but I think, honestly, Saints Row 1 is funny. I understand there's a lot of people that are like, oh, it's just, it's aggressive humor, blah, 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 making you go react and saying, like, harsh words and blah. No, I do think Saints Row 1 is quite funny. Might be the child in me, but, hey, I think it's fun. Chrome Hounds, I think is actually quite strong. I don't want to put it there. Yep. Magna Carta 2. I'm gonna be the asshole here. I think it's just mid. Just saying. PGR 4. Let's talk about this. I do think it is close to Ridge Racer. I'm sorry, there's so many games I just want. Ace Combat 6. Should have actually. I love that game. Ace Combat 6 was fun. I'm gonna have to move stuff around. I thought I had more games to go into the favorites. Whoa. Whoa. I never moved Dance Central 2, by the way. Uh, this is up here in mid, probably like right there. It's kind of funny that's there. Dance Central 2, I think it's strong. I'm guessing all the Dance Centrals are like up here. I only remember playing 2. Uh, man, am I really gonna put it as the best Kinect thing? Yeah, I am. Alright, we're gonna move Baller. Where's Baller Beats? We're gonna move it up here. I feel good about that. Naval Assault, I think, was just mid. I don't remember a lot about this game. I just remember being, like, mid. Yeah, that's fine. I'm trying to make it ordered. Uh, this one is a funny game because I only played it literally one day. And I'm sure there's more to this game, but I just remember it being, like, strong. The outfit, very basic, like, just game in general. Uh, kind of want to put it mid. Yeah, I'm gonna put it in mid. Bottom of mid? Yeah, it's very forgettable. Rumble Roses, I think this game is actually really good. I'm gonna be honest. I think you should have it. This is a dead game series now, huh? I am actually gonna put this at the bottom of should have though. Race Pro, you know, I'm not gonna rank because I don't remember a lot. Import Tuner Challenge. I'm gonna be honest. I had such a rough time playing this game that I think it's just bad. I think it's just bad. Uh, I think I've heard a lot of people say this is one of their favorite games. Uh, or maybe it's something else entirely. I don't remember. But man, I remember hating that game. I also sucked at racing games back then. But usually I was able to tell if it had decent quality. But this one, I actually thought this was mid. Yeah, this could be there. This one is also kind of mid. I realized that mid is starting to make a comeback here. Strong was doing real well. Um, yeah. And then Prize Fighter. I think this is bad. This is actually probably Refund. It's probably the better Refund game. Yeah. This was just super mid. This is one of the most mid games in creation. Like, there's a lot of stuff in this list that if I go back to, I'd probably rank completely differently. But this is, you know, what, 18 years of the 360 being around, a little more or something. Like, yeah, it's a little wild. I remember this being incredibly mid. Uh, I don't remember enough to rank it right now. This one I did like. That's because at the time I was going through a bit of a motorcycle phase. I still am. One day I'll get one. And then Infernal. Uh, it's kind of like a childish thing, but I do think it's just mid. Yeah. All right, the Xbox 360 is over. I will say this. Um, there's a lot of games I know I would like and put like way higher. Like Cold Step Saga, I could possibly do. 99 Nights 2. The Forza games, I do eventually want to play the classic and go through all the games to see how it evolved. Uh, Steel Battalion, I do want to see the Kinect version along with Fable Journey, Blue Dragon, and then a lot of these games I need to like just remember, like how they were because like my memories of a lot of these games are just gone. I think there's a decent amount of should haves. The strong. So basically, how I would put this is that my favorites are like still in the should have tier. These are just ones I like to make mention. And the reason I don't talk about Ace Combat 6 that much as a lot of other games is because at the end of the day, this is Ace Combat. Like, if you know what Ace Combat is, you know there's not a lot that I'm gonna say. This just happened to be the one Ace Combat I played a lot of, and that in Ace Combat 4. But Also, at the same time, I want to make mention that I do think you should have these games or at least play them at some point. I think they're very, very fun uh, in their own ways, or they're very special. Uh, that that kind of goes for like Kengu and like these and kind of like Fable 2 and Cameo, where I think they sit a special spot in the 360's lifespan. Strong, I do recommend picking up these games and at least giving them a shot if you get a chance. There's some like really special games in here that I think a lot of people would like just because they're interesting, like Crackdown, Saints Row if you're into that Ridge Racer 6, the Naruto 2 Human, Baller Beats, like, and then there's other games like Perfect Dark Zero, Amp 3. Like there's a lot of games like that, Full Auto, don't that aren't actually like amazingly strong, but for the console they were on, they were actually decent. And then we have the mid, which I think you could argue that they're like 5 to 6 games. Like 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10. They don't offend you, but and maybe there's some really good moments that like is worth playing it, which I'm kind of pointing out. Some of them, uh, or they're just like perfectly mid, and that's fine. We have the bad. These are 4 to 3 out of 10s. Um, yeah, and then refund is 2. Literally, this one's a 2 out of 10, and these are 2 out of 10, and this is a 1 out of 10. This is probably the worst game on this list by a long shot. Uh, I still remember being excited to play Kinect because it came out when I was still I was still a teenager. I want to point something out. I did just a little bit of a story here. I might tell this in full, but when I was a teenager, I was playing a lot of video games, of course, and I still do. But I took this girl on a date, and then we were gonna do a date at her house and then my house, and we went on the date, you know, uh, and then the second date was at her house, and I forget what we ended. We watched a movie. I do remember what movie we saw, but she also had a Xbox 360 at the time, and she played a lot of racing games, funnily enough. But we played some racing games, and we had fun. And so, at the time, I had just gotten the Kinect. The Kinect had come out like a year previously, uh, and I bought a bunch of the games because they were going for really cheap. And I was like, "You want to play Kinect?" And she was like, "Sure." And we tried this, and it took me like 30 minutes of being like, "Nah, this game doesn't work," and she was very upset because she loved the idea of it's a cool concept. It's a cool concept in general. Uh, and then we played Kinect Adventures, which is why I think I'm like ranking it so high. Is because I remember playing Kinect Adventures with her, and we had a very fun time. And yeah, and Baller Beats was just cool. I still stand by it. This was a cool concept. I don't know how you would do this with a lot of other uh sports, but I do think this was a really really cool idea. One of my favorites. But yep, Xbox 360 is dead, which is very sad. It's definitely the console that I think deserves a little more love from people. I understand the exclusives weren't standout. This is missing quite a few now that I think of it. I'll have to go and look at some point, but I do think it's worth it to at least check out at least the top stuff here. That's it. Xbox 360 is gone. Uh, yeah. Have a good one.